Now for our healing circle, and we just focus on those in particular need around the globe or collectively, in particular this moment in Africa, thinking also of our group in Ghana. Just holding the light. So let us open our hearts to the Christ power, wisdom and love, as together we call upon the angels of healing to draw close. We come into the soft radiance of this love as we focus and hold the healing light of the Christ star over the many nations of Africa, particularly the impoverished, particularly those who are without food, Ethiopia, particular. Just see the whole continent of Africa, and at this time also South Africa, in the healing light and radiance of the Christ love. With hearts full of love and gratitude, we give our grateful thanks. Amen. All right. Our reading this morning is from two books, Seeking Serenity and The Best of White Eagle, and it's entitled A Plan for Your Life. Thank you, Susan, for choosing it. Your life is working to a plan. You know nothing can go wrong. You've no need to worry about great decisions, whether to do this, that, or the other. Your decisions will be made apparent when the time comes. But you must be awakened to the Spirit, quickened in spirit, so that you will instantly respond to the gentle guidance of the presence that resides within you. We assure you, every one of you, that if you will truly follow the light within your heart, all will be well. Just relax. Don't try to make things go the way you think they should go. Cultivate joy and laughter in your heart, and know this beyond all, that there is a very wise and loving plan set out for you. Don't necessarily set your heart on the way you want things, but center your whole aspiration upon the light and the realization of the power of the light in your own heart. For we tell you that all things work together for good. There is a divine law pervading all life. Good comes out of ignorance and darkness. There is a plan, a wise plan for the spiritual growth of humankind. If you're anxious about the future, we would reassure you that all will be well, and there is wise purpose in frustration and yes, in suffering. Every soul seems to go through suffering, but if you can see it in the right perspective, you will see that suffering is actually a rebirth. Through limitation and suffering, the narrow path, the soul merges into divine life and light, just as the insect in the chrysalis stage emerges into a beautiful winged creature. Life is governed by law. Humans have to abide by the law of karma. Karma is a merciful law, and ultimately it brings to every soul indescribable happiness. Hold fast to the truth of the spiritual life. Whatever your present karma, it is good. It is an opportunity given to you by divine law to grow in spirit and in happiness. It's useless to kick against the circumstances of earthly life, for as long as you kick against them, you will surely be obstructing your pathway. Be happy. Be at peace. Be patient. Your work is in the plan. Every episode in your life is according to the great plan, according to the plan of the great architect of the universe. The plan will unfold when you have learned yourself a certain amount of wisdom, when you have been prepared, perhaps through extreme difficulties in your physical life. You have your work to do, and your troubles and frustrations are all testings and preparation, polishing you, making you a more receptive instrument for the power of the Spirit. Just live every moment, every hour, every day, as tranquilly as possible, taking the hours as they come, and doing one thing at a time. Go in your heart, keep on keeping on, although the hill may seem at times insurmountable, when you have to turn a corner and you cannot see the summit. Keep on persevering with your climb, knowing that the summit of that mountain is the light of the sun, and that in due time all humankind will reach the summit. Yet the journey still seems long, and you become at times discouraged and begin to think you will never reach the golden heavens. We know, but we come to bring you good cheer, for joy must be your companion on this path leading to the heart of God. We understand so well sometimes the weariness of the flesh. We understand soul weariness, but we know too that there comes without failing a sustaining, refreshing grace to uphold the weary traveler on the journey. We bring you a message not only of joy and hope, but of assurance that God's love is omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, and it is for you to receive it as a welcomed and honored guest into your heart. Remember, one of the great lessons the pupil of the Master has to learn is that of patience. Patience when you are confronted with material difficulties. Patience to know that all will work out for good. You think this means waiting and waiting and waiting endlessly. Yet the whole of life has to be composed of continuous patience, because right up until the very release, the time of the very release of your physical body, you will be learning this lesson of patience. So bear patiently your difficulties and problems. If we can all keep on keeping on, thankfully and trustfully, along the appointed path, we should be less blessed with achievement, completion, happiness, such as the world can never give, and receive the peace, such as the world can never take away.
Good morning, everyone. Hi there. I have a little frog in my throat today, so we'll see how that does. So you probably gathered from the lovely reading that Jane did, or she did a lovely job with it, I should say, that I'm going to talk about the path. And I've been thinking about this recently. We are all on a path. I think it's a way to define our days. It's a framework for life. And it's really a way to describe this incredible journey that we're all on. We often hear references to the path within the White Eagle teachings, and certainly from all of the other great spiritual traditions. So we're all on a path, and we've been on a path for lifetimes, whether it's conscious or unconscious. As I've been thinking about this, I've been thinking about how individual is each of our paths. It's a reminder to me to respect each individual's chosen path, which can look quite different from our own. Even in this room, if you looked around, and you people all know each other, you would see lives lived differently from very different angles at times. This is the outer I'm speaking of. White Eagle says there are many different spokes or paths on the wheel, and they are all leading to the center, to God. I think it's this acknowledgement and the honoring of our differences that helps us not to judge our own path or someone else's path. We cannot see what lessons that soul is learning and how that particular path is just right for where they are on their spiritual journey. And I think if we focus too much on the outer, you see people doing this and someone doing this, and oh my God, we miss the real sense of the inner workings, what is going forward in that person's life. So sometimes if we can look below the exterior and just greet them at a deeper level, the rest of this just kind of doesn't matter so much. And I think it's a mystery. There's a lot of mystery in life, a lot of mystery to our own paths and where we're headed. So White Eagle has said, so the path, our path is different from another's path, and he said, this is why we feel that mistakes are made by beloved brethren endeavoring to bring all their acquaintances and friends onto one particular path. And I think one of the things that drew me to the path of the White Eagle is that there was very little, if any, proselytizing, which really turns me off on the spiritual path. And so it was more that it was an inner guidance, how we've all found White Eagle, and we have our various stories for that. And I love that there's no strong arming or believe this or do that. There's just the beingness of spirit, and there's a simplicity to this path that draws me. And White Eagle says, our path depends entirely upon the individual, upon experience gained in previous incarnations, and upon karma, which has been made. So the karma has to be worked out, and sometimes in that process we're drawn to different paths. I think all of us in our lives can look back and see all the different teachers and retreats and different things that have drawn us where we've traveled. And this is all a process. This is part of our path. White Eagle said one needs to see the light through differently shaped and colored windows until all the rays are blended into the one ray, the great white light. He's kind of adamant when he talks about this. He talks about this quite a bit. He says, let us get this quite clear. Our own particular work must be done, but ours is not necessarily our neighbor's work, nor is our neighbor's work our work. It is essential that we get this unification of thought, this realization that each path is good according to the level of consciousness and the karma of the individual who follows it. And this part I really like, and according to the needs of the general plan for the spiritual evolution of humanity. So we all have a part in the plan. We're all part of the pyramid. We all have a block to put into the pyramid of life. And not one is less or more than the other. So in this time of transformation, the shift of the ages, I think we have an opportunity to take a deeper look at our part in the upliftment of humanity in the plan as it's moving forward, to create anew, to renew our vows to the one. So someone asked White Eagle once, they said, does the soul keep the same path through continual incarnations? And White Eagle's reply through Grace Cook was, I should say yes from my point of view. It has its own path like a train on rails. The train may get derailed, it may go into a siding, but it will go back onto the main line again. The soul, to use another simile, may evolve little feelers or branches in order to draw into itself certain knowledge, but it always withdraws again to its own individual path of development. It must do so. And so I think as we're traversing our lives, one of the things that calls to me is, where do I feel at home? Where does my spirit feel at home? And then I follow that. And this I thought was sort of interesting. Someone also asked White Eagle about what determines the path at the commencement, when we were first created. And he said, this is a difficult question. I can only say that it is decided by the breath of God, the outbreathing of God. It is decided by the breath or the word or the shout of God, and we remain within his hand, within his heart for all time. So we say that each soul's experience is unique, but the fundamental principles the lessons that we do have to learn, they're all the same. We learn the same lessons, but we do not learn them in the same way and at the same time as our companions. White Eagle gives examples. He says, for instance, the soul has to overcome the lower self. It has to learn the lesson of love, perhaps, of brotherhood, of peace. But the experience and how we come to that will be very different for each soul. Every soul has to come up against the same spiritual problems, but your experiences are unique insofar as you learn them in a different set of circumstances, and therefore they can never be quite the same as your neighbor's experience. So these lessons which the soul must learn are common to all humanity. And again, repeating myself, although they may be presented to the individual in a very unique form. And this is why you cannot learn from your brother's experience, nor he from yours. We are learning from each other, but neither can you understand another's experience while at a different stage of development from that one, which I found that really interesting. I think at times we are stymied. We don't know how to proceed on our appointed path. And White Eagle, and you've all heard this, he says very frequently, when in doubt, do nothing. Do nothing. Do not rush ahead. Have some discernment for your life and see what shows up, what evolves, even when you don't know which way to turn or what to do. It reminds me of, when you're driving in a car and it's foggy, and you know how you can drive and you'll get where you're going rather slowly. But the path is only revealed as you need it to be revealed. And I think sometimes we're in places like that. I really think humanity is in general, where we cannot see very far ahead on the path. And I think there's reasons for that. So what we do is we keep on keeping on each day, and then we can take the next step. It's just like driving in the fog. You can drive because you can see a little ways ahead of you, and then things get revealed. And White Eagle says we are free to follow our own path to the mysteries, to the temple of the Grail, to the journey of the soul, to the hall of the white light. We have available, made to us, opportunities, knowledge, this beautiful temple, companions on the path. And he said, yet once you desire wisdom, not for your own satisfaction, not because out of curiosity, but that you may labor to serve the whole earth, then your feet are placed on the path which leads ultimately to the house of light. You should follow the light which shines from your own spirit. There could be no gate crashing, so to speak. We climb steadily and with deep faith. White Eagle said, look for a path that has simplicity at its core. And then be the teachings, don't just read about them. Embody what Buddha and Jesus demonstrated, simple yet profound truths. I've been reading a lot of Joel Goldsmith lately. I'm sure many of you know him. And from his book, Consciousness is What I Am. There's this wonderful passage in here that kind of goes along with what I'm talking about. We may think that we know what would be good for us tomorrow or for the balance of this year, but I can assure you that God has good for us that we could not dream of and would not ask for. Personally, I do not care what happens tomorrow. That's what Joel's saying. The way is so completely open with me that whatever God determines, that is the way it will be. And I am not going to be egotistical enough to try to tell God where I think I should be or what I think God should have me do tomorrow or the next day or the next month or the next year. We do not go to God to have certain things brought about for tomorrow. We go to God with this attitude. Today, tomorrow, and all time to come, God, I belong to you. Map out my days. So as we sit quietly and peacefully listening, it will not be long until something says to us, go to bed, it is all right, or go on now and do your housework, or go to business, I am on the field. It does not have to say it in those words, but there will be a feeling of rightness, something will come bringing us a sense of assurance that God is on the field. So we let God take over and live our lives. And then we understand that the divine consciousness within us lives our life, and we just watch what it does. So to repeat one of my favorite quotes of all times, today, tomorrow, and all time to come, God, I belong to you. Map out my days. So I guess I would want to say that we need to all follow our own beautiful intuition. The guidance that we receive, the hints we get, how life needs to be lived. The spiritual truth is fluid. We may take side roads. We may ride a tributary or two, but we will, White Eagle promises, come back to God, truth, the light, our own path, where we feel at home. Follow it, be it, find your own path, your own truth, and live from that. Someday, as all of our roads converge, we will meet in true brotherhood and enter the light together, holding hands, smiling, deep love and joy, one for the other, all is one. One more quote here. This is from one of the Book of Azrael, Teachings of the Great White Brotherhood. And this is what he has to say about the path. There is a path for the soul in each earth life. It is the path of transmutation, my beloved brethren. That path is for many a long one, and at times difficult, so very difficult, and yet there are many places where you can take your ease. The path is lonely. No other human soul can tread it with you, but an angel walks beside you, beloved, the guardian of your soul. The path is also shadowed. You cannot see its end, and yet light shines all the way. The path may be taxing, yet it is filled with many acts of loving kindness and the meeting of your true needs, And finally, in the continuing mastery of self, you, the initiate, win through to life eternal. And all the way, God goeth with you. God goeth with you. Now we'll move into our communion. Take a deep breath. Take your deep breath and just let out any stress, anything that holds you other than this beautiful place of light. Infinite Spirit of love, we raise our hearts to Thee today. We ask for Thy blessing on each one in this temple. May Thy light shine upon us. We turn our faces to Thy light. Use us in Thy wisdom, O Father, Mother, God. Strengthen us in Thy service, and may we go forth carrying the light and peace to humanity and to all those we contact. May Thy blessings rest upon each one as we go along through all the experiences of our lives, and may peace be within our souls. So as we take this communion in this temple of light, surrounded by the angels, the great ones, the light, we feel it pour into our being, and we are grounded in it. And we are offered by the beautiful Master Jesus comes over to each one of us. He touches us gently. Deep understanding and love. emanates from his being. And so we sup the wine, the elixir of life, the light, and the bread to sustain us in our days to come. We are one in the light. And we thank our dear Spirit for the guidance of each footfall as we make our way on our paths, holding our hand with God's, and also with our brothers and sisters on the path. We are sustained, and all is well. God holds the plan. All blessings. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you so much. Amen.